all good. We're all good. I see it's live in the group. Last week was such a mess, and you were on an airplane, so you missed all that fun excitement. But yes, everything, no errors. So I figured out what problem it is, and we'll make sure that never happens again.
Woohoo!
So awesome. So any comments, let us know where you're tuning in from. I can see there are people in there, and I'm super excited for today. And you didn't even see the little intro I had made or anything like
No,
that.
it looks so good. I love it.
My favorite business card, baseball card. How are you, Christy? Thank you for joining. So this will be fun. So this first of our, so we do the second Thursdays are in the creative group, marketing, fun stuff. And today you have a great class, and I'm just going to let you take it away.
Thanks. All right. Well, it's my first time, so if there's any glitches on my end, sorry. We got to work out the kinks, but let's go. All right. So I'm going to hop over to the present, and then periodically after each topic, I will hop in and ask if there's any questions, and we will go from there because this is going to be a lot. To do that. But it'll be good. It'll be good. Let's get our thinking caps on. So I'm ready to present. Let me pull over this way. All right, we are good to go. So this entire class is about the psychology of marketing. Now, I know. We're like, oh, what do you mean? What do I really need to know about that? There's a lot that we don't think about that could be really helpful and important. So let's dive in. Just to give you a little background for anyone who doesn't know who I am a RE/MAX agent in Southeast Florida. I graduated with an honors degree in philosophy. I thought I wanted to be an attorney, but just kidding. I like real estate better. I have worked almost every position within a real estate brokerage, and I am known historically for my creative marketing. It's my fun part of the business. So, what we're going to learn today is tools and strategies to genuinely help you on your marketing journey for all of your real estate business. Because the end goal of it all is to feel authentic, personable, and of course, memorable. So, Kendall Bonner said something to me that really, well, to a class, not me, but I felt like she was talking to me. She is a broker over on the west coast of Florida. And she said, we all say no, like, trust. But she reversed it. She said, like, trust, no. And that resonated with me because when you're building out your marketing, it tends to flow like that without even realizing it. And a lot of that has to do with psychology in our marketing. So let's dive in more. Okay, so why is psychology important? It is important because the best marketer will always get the client. Always. It doesn't matter that you have more years, more experience. It depends on how you present yourself to the clients. So if you apply the principles of behavioral psychology, you can improve the quality of your customer interactions to build brand recognition. And I'm not talking the brokerage you work for, I'm talking your personal brand by being a customer-centric professional. So how do we do that? Well, marketing is a balance. And what I like to take that a step further, and I want to say with that is marketing is a balance, but it's also a cycle. So we all have cycles, life happens. So we have to understand that it's okay to give ourselves grace, but it's the awareness that counts. You actually consciously being aware that, okay, this works for me, this doesn't. How can I kind of get a better balance here? And it might go like this a little bit, right, for your cycle, but the goal is to eliminate this. So just narrow in on those peaks and valleys. Okay, so how do you learn marketing balance? You're going to do this by understanding that there are principles, there are examples, and overall psychology awareness that we're going to discuss to help give you a foundation to begin your journey. Take lots of notes, people. And that will give you an idea to figure out what works best for you. Because remember, we're all different. We all have a different influence. So therefore, our balance is going to be different. All right. Before we really dive into the strategies, I have to discuss colors. Anyone who knows me knows I am a color, I don't want to say snob, but I'm picky with colors. I like bright colors. I like bold colors. I have a color issue with brown. I'm not going to lie. I have issues with brown, but that's okay. But why? Why do I have these color issues? Let's find out. So, have you ever noticed how a brand's color makes you feel? And if you can't think of a brand color that gives you a certain thought or a certain emotion, think about a color in general. For me, it started off going to hospitals, and I realized a lot of adult hospitals are tans, beige, browns. When I'm not feeling well, that's not really a color I want to be surrounded by. But if you go to a children's hospital, it's bright, it's vibrant, it's fun. It just automatically lifts your spirits just a little bit, right? So without realizing it, we have a non-conscious reaction to different colors. So I want you to start formulating how does a certain color or combination of colors work for you in regards to your personal life, your business life, all around. One interesting point for this is my husband brought to my attention every house I have ever decorated or designed, I do blues. See the color behind me? It's like a periwinkle. Or I do teal or aqua or some hue of the combination. And I was like, that must be like my tranquil, happy color because I tend to just gravitate towards it. And I didn't even realize. It's crazy, right? Oh my God.
I do the same thing, Brie. I have the blues and aquas are at least in my bathroom or my old office or guest. Like there are maybe not the main areas, but either bathroom, guest bedroom are like this aqua, whatever color, because it is my happy color.
See?
And blues, I if nobody gives me a direction on color, I realize I'm
That's
on
where you're
every phase of blue is what they're gonna get. So if you don't like blue, you better tell me another color because I realize it's always gonna have blues in it because that's what I like and designs.
Well, I want everyone to remember that thought because later on in this, we're going to talk about blue specifically, and there's a reason for it. So here is a great example of how some well-known brands have incorporated different colors. So just be aware of how Barbie, for example, since that's a hot topic. Pink is very bright. It's fun. It's creative. It just sparks this like pop, right? So that really stands out and resonates for you. The same thing as for fonts. You can have a brand font and you can have a personal brand font. I scoured the internet for me and I found a personal brand font and I use it for my hashtag 100% every single time. So this is a really great page to make note of, take a picture of, Facebook message me. I will send you a copy of this, but this gives you the positive and the negative for colors because we always talk about the positive, but depending on how you're utilizing the color, there could be a negative to it. And you just want to kind of keep that in mind when you're, creating all of your stuff.
That's crazy. Turquoise says like unreliable and secrecy.
I mean, well, in all honesty, personally speaking, my friends know when it's not business related, I will flake. I am the queen of flaking. So maybe that's true. I just like my house. I like the idea of going out and doing things. And then sometimes, I don't want to say sometimes, but most of the time, when it comes down to it, I'm like, oh man, I gotta go.
That was crazy. I mean, I was just like, what? I couldn't imagine that.
Right. But, and there's cultural differences too. So that it depends on where you are in the world. So different colors have different meanings. All right. This is my favorite tool I kid you not, I have used this when I have decorated every single house. When I was looking for color schemes, I have used it for inspiration. If you scan that QR code with your phone, it will pop up the URL for the Canva wheel. You can also just search on Google or Yahoo, whatever your Safari, whatever your search engine of choice is, Canva color wheel, and it'll pop up. And then what's cool about it is if you pick a color, not only does it give you the color code, but you can also decide how you want the color combination to work. So maybe you're going for a more monochromatic look, right? It'll give you the color codes. So that way it's just easy and plug in. You can put that into your personal little brand kit in Canva and voila, easy access. I love it.
I don't know that I've ever even done the color wheel. I mean, I color match all the time.
Yeah.
But I've never used that color wheel.
Oh my gosh, I love it, Kenny. When we were doing our Airbnb in Kissimmee, Kenny was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm trying to figure out my colors, okay? Like these are going to be the main colors, and then there'll be subcolors of those main colors, and then it'll all marry together." And he's like, "I don't understand." It worked though. So what are some best practices for colors? Best practices for colors are learn the color psychology essentials. We went over some of that. You can even take a picture of this and Google some of these questions just to help familiarize yourself and start building that conscious awareness of the impact of colors. Start with the emotion first. Like we said, I have issues with brown. It's just like, it's one of my least favorite colors. I do have brown leather couches, but in my defense, they flow really nice with the other colors. They're just an accent. Get inspired by other brands. What brands out there do you like? I tell everyone it's kind of like that the blue car syndrome, right? You never notice a blue Tesla until you go to buy a blue Tesla. Then they're everywhere. So that's just an awareness of your mind starting to be like, oh, look, there it is. I see it. All those little like neurons go out and they're like, oh, there's one, there's one, there's one. And then you're like, man, I thought I was being the cool kid and getting a car nobody had. Everyone has this color.
It's why I got a white Jeep. Like, who would buy a white Jeep, instead of yellow or, teal? I've had those. Like, no, I don't want to be that bold. Let me just get white. Who does white? And then I go to this, after buying it, we go to dinner and there's nothing but white Jeeps in the parking lot. And I'm like,
that's why I wrapped my car. So I was in line at Costco. I kid you not. I was in line at Costco to get gas. And I look around me and there was 4 Lexus SUVs with the same pearl white color with the same rims. And I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm wrapping my car. So I wrapped my car in this crazy like gray psychedelic color. So when the sun hits it, it looks like a rainbow. And then guess what happens? Someone sees my wrap and literally copies it. So
that's just wrong, especially on a wrap.
It is. So now I'm like, I've been talking to my wrap guy about like what I want to do. The problem is I can't sit still long enough to give him my car to take the wrap off and put the new one on. So that's a process. Stay tuned. So another thing is to create a brand color palette, regardless of what brokerage you're with, whether it's mom and pop, Remax, Keller Williams, they have their main colors and then they have subcolors. I always encourage everyone, when you're creating a brand color palette, add black and white to it. You cannot go wrong with that because they're very palatable and work with a wide variety of different colors. And those could be subcolors, not main colors if you don't want them to be. We did briefly talk about this. Keep cultural context in mind. What I mean by that is we all live in different regions. We all live in different areas of the world. So when I met my husband, I learned that part of his culture is the Hinduism, because my husband's from Trinidad and Tobago, and red is the color you wear as a woman to get married. Where in the United States, we wear a white dress. So just keep that in mind. Try to add some blue, as Heather and I both said. Why? Because even though blue and turquoise can have some of those negative effects, most people look at it as a calm, tranquil, just very inviting color. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's like, oh, I have issues with the color blue. It's just an awful color. Have you?
No, I hope not.
I don't know. Maybe brown, but that's okay. Not that you guys can tell I really have an issue with the color brown, but it's all right. Stay consistent with your branding. However you want to experiment, that's okay. I tell everyone, here's the process. You're going to experiment maybe with some hues, some different combinations, but once you find what works for you, whether it's a social media post, if it's a t-shirt, a car wrap, whatever it is you're doing, keep those brand colors consistent. And here's why. It takes multiple levels of impressions for it to resonate with your consumers, your clients, whomever you're working with. So if you use those colors in a certain way, as these are my primary colors, these are my secondary colors, it clicks without you even trying to have it click with someone. It clicks. And like I just said, run color test, experiment. Facebook, the vulnerability of that place. It's still a really good option to ask the peanut gallery on Facebook. Put some combinations to color and say, hey guys, I'm working on some brand ideas. How do you feel about this color with this color or that? And you know what? It's all information. It doesn't have to have an emotional connotation to it or anything. You just kind of like, okay, well, this resonates with these people. This resonates with those. How can I kind of make some of it work together? All right. Any questions on colors before we move on?
No, I think everyone loves, I love that emotion. So I'm sure you will share like that. I think I had taken it as for like a reel or whatnot, but maybe that slide, definitely the brand, which had a little bit of that, and definitely the colors. Another one, I mean, some people already want the whole slide deck. Don't put your emails. We don't want the emails in the groups putting out to anybody, but we'll definitely get whatever you want from here. I know those two are, and it was very interesting, and I'll just hide this real quick. But when I remember my husband, like I guess a lot of guys, like we did the Harley thing, whatever, and he really wanted to do like this whole kitchen with that whole iron looking, I can't even think of what the heck the backsplash would be, but it was like a workshop kind of thing. And he wanted to do the whole kitchen in this. He still wants a toolbox for our island. Okay.
Oh my God, he's such a guy.
But what we did, I did compromise in our office in Florida. I said, this can be your Harley room. So we had like, iron, like cast iron, like motorcycle thingy artwork and Harley, whatever. And we did it. The Harley orange was more of a burnt orange. For the office, I compromised with that. But once it was up on the walls, I was like, I mean, it doesn't look good with my skin tone, but I Googled what the color meant, and it was all about like creativity. And I was like, okay, I'm good with this. Like I can deal with it. Creativity, what I do, I'll do, you have this little box of one little space I'm giving you. But I was actually surprised. So the orange was a creativity color, and it was an okay. I was like, okay, I can make this my workspace. We're good. But yeah, he only got one room. And
that's better than Kenny. He doesn't have any yet. Don't tell him I said that. He might even be watching. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be in trouble later. No, but I'm glad you said that for skin tone, because that was something my Nona taught me at such a young age, especially when we're doing headshots, when we're doing green screen colors behind us. Think about the undertones in your skin, and that's a whole other level of like finding what works for you. But if you're going to be doing some video marketing, or maybe it's like I have one photo of myself in like this, I don't know the name. It's like an Asian crane print t-shirt, but it's like bright yellow and like royal blue, and it looks absolutely obnoxious in person. I have yet to wear it in real life, but I took my headshot photos in that top, and it just popped so well. So keep that in mind too, because whether it's branding photos or maybe you just want some casual social media photos for your personal brand, colors, sometimes the brighter, the bolder, if it complements your undertones in your skin, it will go a long way.
I didn't even I realized like my entire closet was black and blue. And then I think New Year's resolution a couple years ago, I was like, I am not for an entire year going to buy a black or blue top because everything is black or blue, like my entire closet. That was it. So that's when I started getting into like the aquas. And now because I'm in Tennessee, I'm letting a little bit of splash of orange kind of dip in a little bit. But it wasn't until I did the AI photos, like I'm in yellows and greens and reds and pinks. Like I would never, ever, ever, ever. I don't do print. I definitely don't do flowers. I mean, this is as print as I will get. Yeah, never. But in those AI photos, all of those were in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe I should be getting some more of this. It's just not what I'm drawn to naturally. So it was interesting to see all the different color coordinations that I think my mom would buy me pink clothes for Christmas growing up because she knew I would give them to her. So I think she's like buying me stuff she liked because she knew I would never wear pink at all. But it was just, and our house was pink, like our carpet was mauve, our walls, like she loved pink. So maybe it's probably why I never did pink, but it was just
She was ahead of the trend of the maximalism.
We had the Barbie house before the Barbie house.
There you go.
Boys,
so you guys, before we move on, you are all going to thank me for this, or you're not, but that's okay. There are apps now that will help you figure out. You upload a photo of yourself and it will help you create a color palette of what colors you should wear. Listen, the ads on Facebook have been like stalking me to download them. So now it's going to follow you. You're welcome.
Just because we listened to this.
Yeah. So let's move on to examples of your marketing styles. All right. So what are some examples of marketing styles? Some of you have already heard some of this, but I want to go over it anyways, because now that we have those neuron pathways in our brain starting to formulate for the creativity of colors and creativity, this should help sink in a little bit more. So there's 9 in total. Bear with me. We'll go as fast as we can. But the biggest one will be the last one, and I want to spend a little bit of time on that. So the first one is traditional marketing. When we think of traditional marketing, if someone says print advertising, there's a possibility that some of you will think mailers. Well, that's not always the case. I like how when I started diving into this, I was able to separate the two. So when we talk print advertising, that could be something as a newspaper or a magazine, or maybe a banner outside of a school, whatever it is that works for the vibe of your community. And this would just be highlighting you, who you work for, your brokerage. Make sure legality-wise, you're always following what you have to for your particular area, of course, and making sure you cross your T's, dot your I's. Another aspect of traditional marketing is direct mail, sending physical postcards or brochures to targeted neighborhoods, which you'd be surprised. You would think in this digital era that would possibly not be as popular, but it actually is, especially with Gen Z, because they're like, what is this? This is not a social media ad. Note cards go a long way. Stuff like that, right? Flyers and brochures, you could distribute it, whether a community allows door knocking, or maybe it's a charity event you're going to, or a local event. Have those brochures ready to go, and take it a step further. On any advertising that's traditional advertising, add a QR code. That gives you an opportunity to not only get them with a piece of paper, but also invite them to explore you on a digital front as well. So the second aspect and strategy would be content marketing. So blogging. Oh my gosh. And if you have a Chime website or a KV Core website, wink, wink, you all have blog options. My husband is obsessed with the blogging on our KV Core website. he formulates something about a beach, or maybe it's about Coral Springs, Florida, or Margate, or whatever it is. And he just puts a little blurb in there, adds a photo or two, publishes it. And guess what? Traction comes organically. He doesn't do a thing. He's like, this is so cool. I had 300 views and all I did was write some stuff. So they're still well and alive. And then this one, which I finally told Michael Thorne recently, I'm so thankful for his video boot camp class, even though it took me 3 years to actually get there. Video marketing is huge. Reels are great. I have so much fun with creating videos. I'm actually going to record a new one later on this afternoon, so stay tuned. It's just a great way to have property walkthroughs, show your personality, be informative or educational or whatever it is that fits best with your unique personality. And the third strategy would be events and open houses. We all know open houses works well. And in some of our markets, it's the lustrous way right now, because if not, our poor sellers, oh my goodness, they would have showings from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with just a bunch of people going through. The second option, I was actually, Heather, you would not be surprised. Well, I might shock you on this one. Let me say that. So Kenny and I went to, gosh, what was it? January? It was right before our 4, I think, or maybe last year. I don't know. It all blends together. We went to a home show in Fort Lauderdale. I found it interesting that our MLS board, the Beaches, had a booth at the home show with designers and solar panel people and everyone else, right? There was no actual real estate professionals that had a booth at a home show. I was like, why? It was crazy to me. So keep that in mind. I just gave you a wonderful gift. You're welcome. You could be the only one.
Well, in Florida, you can even rent, which is a great idea, because they say for the home show and wedding shows. Because we in Florida, and I believe in the Carolinas, they actually have a Remax photo booth. So they have the backdrop, they bring in the actual basket from the balloon, and then you get photos done, which are branded for the event. And then you get all the Excel spreadsheet, because everyone, in order to get, their digital photos. So you have the iPad, you enter in the information, and that goes to like our office, our agents, whoever worked the booth, they get the list of every single person that took a photo.
Brilliant.
And I mean, those are great. So I know at least Florida and in the Carolinas, because that's where Richard got the idea and the backdrop and everything. But he said the wedding shows are great. Come in with a mortgage, because a lot of the parents are having to refinance. Then you have the people getting, the almost married couple, they're going to be looking to possibly buy a house. So those are perfect home shows for sure. And it gives them an experience at a show. So any community events, we would use that. But for sure, home shows. And bring in your vendors, just like the Beaches did. I mean, of course, you have tons of vendors with the MLS, but you all come in together, and you split the cost, and it costs pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give them
And
an
just
experience.
traction. Like, I know at the Broward Civic Center, the traction we had just to try and get there, we didn't go the first day because it was madness. And we went on a Sunday, and they were still like, oh my goodness, it's going to take us forever to just get into the parking garage. Like, that's a huge amount of possible buyers and sellers, and maybe even renters if your market calls for it. It just depends, right? Like, who knows?
Yeah. Good idea.
It's
for sure.
Really great. Yeah. The fourth one is influencer marketing. I tend to do this very heavily. It did not start off that way. I kind of just fell into it, and I said, oh, I like this. So I kind of kept going. Collaborate with other local influencers if you're not sure of how to start going and doing your quote unquote influence marketing. Or use other real estate professionals to promote their listings or real estate services. Maybe You have other referral partners, which will lean into the fifth one, and you guys can collaborate together and lean on each other. Or if it's a marketing person, or if you want to pillar yourself as the know all be all for your local community, you can be, I like this saying and I use it a lot, dub yourself a micro influencer. And what I mean by that is you don't have to be some conglomerate person who has tens of thousands of followers. It could be a very small, tight knit community because it's about not quantity, it's about quality over quantity sometimes, most of the time. You want to take those interactions where you're providing value to someone, whether it's saying, here's the local things that are going on in the community or unique finds in your community. Maybe it's a restaurant or a festival or a cool looking house, something like that. And it could just be very specific. So allow yourself the opportunity and the grace to become an influencer for things that other people might not know about. Also, referral marketing. We all know some of us live in communities where we have a lot of people moving out or a lot of people moving in, or maybe both. So, excuse me, create those relationships with other local professionals, whether it's lenders, other agents, and just utilize that. For a very long time, my entire business was 50% referrals. I had over 80% of my business came from social media. And of that 80%, over 50% of it was relationship based with other agents that I had curated over a period of time. So look into that side of it. And it also doesn't have to be agents, it could also be past clients. How many of us have a top 50 list or a top 10 list where we rotated and maybe 3 times a month, or even if it's just once a month, we go out with our favorite client who's referred us the most, or we do pop buys where we give them like a little, ketchup, mustard, and relish for the summertime for their hot dogs with a cute little saying, or something like that. Or Thanksgiving, people do pies, whatever it is that you think would work. Think about how you could incorporate that. And with Temu and the dollar store and all of these other places out there, you can buy really decent things for pop buys that aren't costly. I just bought something where I just have to get it engraved. It looks like a key, but it's actually a pocket knife. And there's a little part on it that I can have engraved, and I'm going to put hashtag barista keys. And I'm going to give it out to my top 50. So something to think about. And then number 6 is niche marketing. So some of the examples provided are focusing on luxury properties, vacation homes, or even commercial real estate. But how can we narrow that more? Maybe we focus on probate, or we do 55 plus communities, or it's specifically for veterans, whatever it is. Sometimes those niche markets, even 1031 exchange, if that's something that's fairly common in your market, if you see that there is a lack where there is a real estate professional that is not getting most of those niche possible clients, become that micro influencer for that niche. Allow people to know, like, hey, I do that, pick me. I'm always here to help. All right. Whew, that was a lot. We've got 3 more to go, guys. I'm kidding. Number 7 is your mobile marketing. So this one got me. I'm not going to lie. Like when I saw mobile marketing, I was like, wait, what do you mean by mobile marketing? Mobile marketing is actually utilizing, whether it's an app, if you're geo farming, or those lovely people that text us about insurance all the time. That is mobile marketing. Now, how can you create value with something that's a mobile marketing aspect? I have a couple brands that I absolutely love where I'm like, meh, they don't overly spam my text messages with SMS messages, but I get really good deals that are only for text messages versus anywhere else, email marketing or mailers, etc. So think about that. Let's say hypothetically, it's the end of the year and Kristen Long did something, but she used social media to do raffles. I think she did like 21 days or 12 days of Christmas or something like that. And it was a different raffle per day on her business page. Her main goal was to get traction to her business page. So if you took all of your top clients, let's say top 50, top 100, you put them into an app that allows you to send them SMS, and you could do a raffle, or you could let them know about like your Thanksgiving pies or a giveaway, whatever it is. That could be a way to mobile market to your clients. So something to think about. Another one, which I absolutely love, is personal branding. Building a strong personal brand for your real estate business that establishes the trust and credibility with clients. Remember when I said we typically think of it as know, like, trust? But I recently learned and really resonated with me that it should be like, trust, know. How can you create a brand for yourself that regardless of where you go in your profession, because life changes, things happen, sometimes we bounce around, that will still resonate with people? Whether it's you're a pickleball person or you love doing funny videos, which I have recently discovered that it is so me, or you're just really smart and have a lot of things to teach us on. Maybe you're an attorney who is also a licensed real estate professional, whatever it is. How can you marry those, whether it's personal and business or past life business and current life business, together to create a personal brand that works for you? And that you have to allow yourself to marinate on. I really think that it's important when you're diving into all of this I use my phone because I never lose my phone. Well, that's not true. It's ended up in the fridge and a couple other places in the house, but I have a watch for that. But some people carry notebooks and they just jot their ideas around, right? I keep notes on my phone, and that's where I jot down whether it's a branding idea or a social media post idea or something else that I could come back to later on, because if I don't put it down somewhere, I will forget it. Think about that, because inspiration, once we open up those creative pathways, it starts coming towards us in the least expected ways. You can never, ever, ever run out of creativity. And if you don't believe me, it is a scientific fact and you can Google it. All right, this is the one that I said we would spend the most time on because it's just such a blanket statement of a type of marketing strategy, but there's so many layers to it, and that's digital marketing. Digital marketing could be your real estate websites. We have a real estate website guru here, Heather Holiday. I don't know if you're this side or that side, but here you go.
I'm above.
We're above. So Heather is great with KV Core websites. If you want to check out her work, look at my website. It's breezetokeys.com. Like there's a breeze outside. It's windy. She does beautiful work. She really has it down to a science, and that can serve you as giving information of who you are, linking your social media, and as well as those blogs we talked about earlier that Kenny is absolutely obsessed with. SEO optimization. So funny story. I put my hashtag on the back of my car because I live in an HOA and you're not allowed to have company branded vehicles. If you do, you have to put a tarp over them. It's a whole thing. I don't have the patience for that life. So I said, how can I advertise my business and not get in trouble with where I live? So I just did hashtag Breeze to Keys. What I didn't realize when I came up with that was the impact it was going to have on my digital footprint. So I'm sitting at a red light. I'm at a gas station. People will ask, what's Breeze to Keys? I'll be like, Google it. They're like, oh, you sell real estate? So it actually links back to my Google My Business page. And I can tell when I haven't been driving as much because then like the impressions go down. But when I am out and about and driving, it'll be like, you're up 100% or you're up 80% or you've had this many views on your Google My Business page. So then that motivates me to go into my Google My Business page to add photos. Or I learned from in Mar out in California. I was like, dude, why didn't I think of this? He said, because remember back, I don't know, like 5-7 years ago where we had Zillow reviews, realtor.com reviews, Google reviews. And it was like, oh my gosh, how do I keep them all together? So he had a brilliant idea of either taking a picture, or if you want to get very creative, take that brand color kit we talked about and that uniformness and just transfer it as a review and say the person's name and then upload it into your photos of your Google My Business. So not only do you have actual reviews, now you have the photos of your reviews from Facebook, Zillow, Realtor, wherever else you get reviews, and it's all there. It's like mind blowing. That's a great way to just kind of like house it all together. Social media marketing. Like I said, this is my bread and butter. I love it because Heather will tell you, I am very introverted until I get to know you in real life. But social media allows me to have my little security blanket and still be social. So it works great for me. Email marketing. My only thing with email marketing, do not add real estate professionals to your consumer mailing list. Don't. We will unsubscribe. And it's nothing more than I'm not going to be in, I don't know, California for the 4th of July. So therefore, I don't need to know about the local things. But if you want to have a separate email list that is geared towards real estate professionals that will add value to them, that maybe you send out once a quarter or something, absolutely go for it. But don't combine that with your clients.
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh no. My watch was talking to me.
It does that all the time. I'm like, I didn't even say your name. Why are you talking to me?
Whoops. And then another thing is virtual tours. So I will say this, I have tested out Pivo, I have tested out Matterport, all of the fun little things. They're definitely fun. I have not put them on my social media yet, but there was this home tags. I think it's called TAGZ or TAGS. It was something that was actually at BOC. It was a vendor. What was really cool about their virtual tours is it gives you the ability to tag different things within the virtual tour so that way you can add information. Like let's say you have a virtual tour and you're in the kitchen. It's my understanding, because I haven't played around with the software yet, but I kind of perused through their website, is that you can have your little button on the floor and, you know, you'll spin around and look at the appliances, and then you should be able to tag the appliances and say brand new Samsung oven or microwave or refrigerator, things like that, things that you wouldn't have been able to do in the past for virtual tours, which is really, really cool. So that is all of that. Okay, any questions before we move on to the last part?
I don't see a bunch of questions other than just like, this is fantastic. What do you have, like a delivery?
Can you hear the dogs?
I just heard a bark. And I was like, oh yeah, that's mine. Mine will probably, like when they hear it now, like on TV, but they're still snoring. So we're good. Otherwise, then we'll have like the battle of the virtual dogs.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
The English Mastiff and Great Dane in here versus
the Corgi and the Cavapoo.
Your plant eaters.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Speaking of plant eaters, not to digress, but to digress for a second. I go downstairs and our middle child, as I call her, the Cavapoo, who's my favorite, by the way, she has brought the outside inside because we have a dog door. So they just come in and out as they please. And I look at her crate and I'm like, why are there so many leaves in here? I don't understand what's going on. I can't, like, she's a vegetarian. She ate half of my money plant, and please don't tell me if it's bad juju. I don't want to know. Don't want to know. Still upset about it.
We found this summer squash growing huge. I had to Google and post in, from the peanut gallery, everybody, and I Googled, sure enough, and they were big. And then all of a sudden they're fighting. And I'm like, why are they fighting? Like, they're besties. They have all these beds and they have to sleep next to each other. And they're eating all my summer squash.
Oh, so no.
That's gone, and they trampled all over it. So I was like, well, we may have to relocate this for next year. I don't know how to I mean, I'd have to put up like a literal fence. I mean, they are 200-pound dogs, so it's not like a little teeny thing's going to stop them. But yeah, so I thought of you because mine ate all that, and I saw the pictures of yours eating the tree. I'm
Kenny
like,
is
well,
not allowed to dog sit ever again when I go out of town. All right, the last section of our very informative class today is how do we create these meaningful connections that will help us in our business to drive more leads that will turn into more sales. So take it as it's an evolution as a strategic approach that will highlight unique features of a property. This whole like just sold in 3 days. Don't do that. Don't say it's sold in 3 days, guys, because there's already a stigma where people think all we do is open doors and show houses, and that's not the case. We all know there's a lot of psychology with just dealing with our clients, and there's also a lot of contract negotiations that, if not done properly or educated properly for our clients, could go haywire. And it also allows you to address the needs of your potential buyers and to effectively communicate. To me, I think that's the biggest thing when I'm trying to market everything is that phrase right there, effectively communicate. Now, that could mean something different for you and your business than it does for me and my business. But at the end of the day, I look at it as I am a teacher. I am someone that is guiding individuals on this huge journey of their life. So I want to make sure that I'm setting expectations and communicating properly to them to showcase why it's important to work for me or work with me, why it's important to work with me and the value I have to give to that particular client. Now, listen, not all personalities gel well, and that's totally okay. But this gives you the ability to meet those objectives and overcome them. So how do you achieve this? Oh, look, I just said that. I said define your objective. I didn't say define, but it's basically the same thing, right? Know your target audience. If you have a niche business for 1031 exchanges or probate or whatever it is, you're going to market differently to that particular client than you are to someone who's going to watch my funny videos on TikTok. Totally different audience, right? Sometimes there might be a little crossover, but not always. Highlight the unique selling points of each and every property, as well as yourself. I can't express this enough. You are one of a kind, period. Full stop. That's it. You're one of a kind. So the way you interact with the world and the way you interact with your clients is going to be different than me. So highlight that. That's why they will pick you over me. Craft a compelling message. You know, I really love seeing when someone posts a just sold with someone holding a key, but it's not just like, yay, we sold and it's above asking and blah, blah, blah. It's a story about the trials, the tribulations, the emotions, everything that went into it. That is what people want to see because it shows that you're not just there for the paycheck. You are there to genuinely help. We are guides on a journey, and it is my duty to help you and educate you. Utilize high quality visuals. So what happens when we have photos, if you go back through your Facebook memories or something, you'll see that like your photos from 2008 look all like smushed and blurry and blah. It's because technology has changed. Photos get compressed, videos get compressed. Always ensure when you're downloading something from an app or even from Canva, you're selecting the highest quality possible to ensure that the clarity is there. And create a stunning website, but that's what Heather's for. You don't have to take it on your own. Just call her. Fill out her little form. Leverage social media. I can't tell you how many agents I have talked to and they're like, oh, I guess I have to learn LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm like, well, when I do one-on-ones with agents and they say that, my very next question to them is, where do you spend the bulk of your time on social media? And they'll say Facebook. I said, then why are we going to build out LinkedIn or Instagram? Well, I don't know. I thought I had to be everywhere. I mean, you can be, but that's exhausting. And we'll have a different interaction on different platforms. If you already have an algorithm set up that's flowing and working for you on Facebook, let's stick there for now. Once you have that streamlined, then you can add in another one. And then once you have that one streamlined, add in another one. Another rule of thumb I tell everyone is not everything is universal for every single social media platform, period. There are things that I post on TikTok I do not post anywhere else. Why? Because the vibe of the platform is entirely different than Instagram or Facebook. So be aware of that as well. And also use visual content. It doesn't matter if it's a post or if it's how you structure your verbiage. I use a website called Fonts, fonts.io. And if you've ever looked at my page, you will see that it takes a couple extra minutes to do it, but it's 100% worthwhile. And here's why. We process information when we read from left to right and then back. If you're looking at someone's post and you are not an avid reader, or you don't really follow that person deeply, if they have a big blob of words this big, you are not going to read it. You're going to be non-consciously like, whoa, that is a lot to process. I cannot process that information. I am going to like it and move on. Or maybe you don't even like it, right? But if you take that same blob that's like this and you break it up and you have a hook at the top that might be bold-faced with an emoji, and then you have a section here, then another bold section, and then another little section, it will pull someone in because their brain can process it better. So think about the visual content, not just video. It can also be words. Monitor your stuff. I tell everyone, so proud of Kenny on this. He was the lurker. My husband was the lurker forever. And now that he's a real estate agent, he's not. And he's so cute. He gets so excited. He told our coach yesterday, because we work with workmen, and he was like, every time I post my market stats, I get one like. But when I post silly stuff about would you live in this container house? And then Bree comments and she's like, absolutely not, we can't. Things like the bantering that my husband and I do. He's like, we get so much engagement. It goes viral. I'm like, Kenny, you had 10 likes, but that's okay. But it's the point.
I did like the Mustang. I'm just saying. I showed my daughter immediately and she's like, let's go. Let's go to Fort Lauderdale.
But it's true, right? So
yes.
What I say is he took the whole point of that is he took the time to assess that he said, I want to put out market, assessments and tell everyone what's going on once a week, every Wednesday. My husband's by nature an engineer. And if you know an engineer, they're wired like that, right? So he's like, stats, let's go. And I was like, meh, maybe it'll work for you. Let's see. It didn't work for him like he thought it was going to work. So then he started experimenting because he was monitoring what he was putting out there, and he was consciously aware of his marketing strategy. And then he decided to optimize because he saw a silly post outperformed all of his market stat posts. So then he did more. So that's the point, is allow yourself an opportunity to say, okay, I've been doing this and this and this, but what outperforms? Implement your SEO strategies, whatever that may mean to you. Just don't throw money at these companies if you're not seeing a return. I can't tell you how many agents I've talked to where they're like, oh yeah, I have a company for that. I'm like, okay, but you have no engagement and no reach. So how much are you paying per month? They're like $300. I'm like, you need to fire that company if you're out of contract. It's the whole point of having a company work for your SEO, whether it's on social media or Google, is to see results. And if you're not seeing results, stop wasting your money. Provide valuable content. Again, that goes into knowing your audience. So if your audience is all about stats, then provide that content. If your audience is all about laughing and having a good time, provide something valuable that could be educational in a funny manner. Engage with your audience. Oh, this is a pet peeve of mine. So there's a system for me that I do. Sometimes I am very vulnerable and I share things on social media. Others are like, whoa, she just said that. I could never say it, but that's cool, right? Even though I shared that, that doesn't mean that I have the emotional capacity to look at it right afterwards to see the engagement. So what I do is I circle back. And here's what I noticed by doing that is when I let something just ride on my algorithm and let it just, do its thing, once I've noticed that it's not performing anymore, then I go back and engage with that post. And that just happened because I wasn't trying to do it intentionally. I just kind of fell into it. And I was like, that's interesting. So now it's a system that I use. I don't do it for every post, but sometimes I do it for posts that are either performing really well and they're living in the algorithm for a couple of days, or it's something that was more vulnerable than I wanted to share, but felt the need to share because I like pushing my boundaries. And then I wait until I'm ready. And then it comes back to life. So pay attention to that. Write compelling descriptions. I'm actually reading this book. It's called Bird by Bird, and it's all about writing. And it's all about how to figure out your voice and how to add emotion or structure things. And it's not just, there's some really cool life lessons in there too that you're like, all right, that's neat. And all it is a second generation writer who's sharing her story. And even though I'm not writing a novel, I'm still learning how to write compelling messages and descriptions. And ChatGPT, guys, for my listings, I use ChatGPT all the time for listing descriptions because I don't know how to make them sound like readable, if that makes sense. Other than
some of them are just get to the point already, because it's like
I know they're really drawn
like
out.
You're reading a book, and it's like, okay, get to the point already. You didn't have to copy the entire thing ChatGPT said to you.
Thank you for that. Yes, no, mine are very like I'll add like a sentence of like I call it fluff. A sentence of fluff, and then I'm like, but it has 4 bedrooms, this and that, and da-da-da. So it has, again, that balance, right?
Some of these I'm just like, oh my gosh, get to the point. Get to the point. I do not need an entire story of as you're walking through. Like, stop it.
You want to pull them in, but you also want to be pragmatic, right?
You don't have to literally copy and paste, but let it serve as a guide and some really cool descriptive words, or when you're having that brain creative fart, whatever it may be. But for the love of God, stop copying and pasting the entire thing that it gives you to read an entire book on a listing. I mean, it's just the winding roads through and I'm like, stop. I'm just gonna leave it there. That's all
it is so true. So to Heather's point, use it, but find your balance. Again, it's a cycle. You can't, if you go too far this way, it's gonna be like, oh, here we go again. If you go too far this way, it'll be like, oh my gosh, this isn't doing this property any justice. So how can you marry the two, right? And provide outstanding customer service, which not worried about that. I know you all do that already. So we're almost to the end of this. How will learning all of this benefit your business? And if you're still like, okay, I don't know why I'm sitting through this class, or I don't understand this, let's just sit on this for a second. The intricate nuances of human behavior, emotions, and decision-making processes helps us as real estate professionals to create impactful connections. That right there, impactful connections is huge. And every time I do something, that is my main goal, whether it's with our clients or even our peers, that can extend beyond mere transactions. I absolutely love seeing things that go from digital to in real life, and that is a win. And I want you to tuck that nugget away, because on your marketing journey, you may feel that it is not working for you, but it is, because the little tiny wins are the big wins. So if I have something that I post and someone Facebook's messaged me privately about, or if then they see me a week later and they're like, oh my gosh, that post was so great, that is a win. Why? It's memorable and impactful. So trust that you are authentic. So authenticity and trust are absolutely paramount. If anyone really knows me, you know what you see is what you get. Like, I am as transparent as authentic as I can be, because I find it really exhausting to be any other way for me personally. And leverage your own uniqueness in that psychology for your real estate marketing. because they can position you as an empathetic expert who genuinely cares, because we know you genuinely care, but your clients have to see that, and it'll show that you are trying to gain, or you're trying to help them get to their aspirations and goals. And that's what we're here for in this industry. So, last bit, satisfied clients become brand advocates. So, I have a goal, but my very end part of all the little weaving and winding of these things that I'm going to implement into my marketing plan and my marketing strategy is to create walking, talking billboards of brand advocates that will create a word of mouth referral that can then come back to me and amplify my business for my reach, my credibility, and ultimately drive leads and sales towards me to have a successful business. So at the end of the day, I can put food on my table. So, any questions?
I am reading through. There are lots of fun stuff. And I know even one thing that came to mind when you were talking about the niche real estate, because it's something I think about daily as we've been looking for property, like where we ride, is like trying to find people to service like land or just in real estate in general. It's like there's no real offices there. And I'm like, oh my God, I could totally wrap my Jeep, wrap my side by side, and just serve the community where my hobby is. And that to me is like, it's still a niche, offer a community for these areas. I could totally do that, but I don't want to sell real estate like you guys, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I just need to find an agent that will do that.
Yeah.
But like that, thinking in that way for a niche, all of the things you said, I've certainly have had enormous struggle with finding like my brand since leaving Florida, not working in an office, because that was everything I posted, everything.
Right.
And then moving to a state where I don't know anybody. Then COVID hits. Now I just sit in my she shed, still talking to all the same people. I really don't know a whole lot of people, and everything became about my vacations. It's not like I'm posting all my office events or anything anymore. So I've definitely
It's a shift. Yeah.
It's been a struggle, and luckily, even doing like Sue's Instagram coaching really made me think who my audience is, because now I think even on my personal channel, because my Jeep has her own, but I just sit there and watch Jeep videos all night on any channel.
Yeah, I see Chris.
struggle.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. I see Chris said that her biggest think tank issue is to get behind a slogan or a hashtag. So I have advice for that, because this is how I came up with, and I'm going to be honest, I tell everyone this, I think Barista Keys is the absolute cheesiest thing in the world. It is so silly. And some people think I work in the Florida Keys, and I don't. It takes 4 hours to get there, just because you can only drive 30 miles an hour in the Keys anyways. And I drive 80 normally. Everything's flat, guys. Don't yell at me. So what I did is I marinated, right? It took me a couple weeks to figure it out. I wrote down what I thought were my best personal attributes, just words, right? And I used a thesaurus. I used a dictionary to really make sure I was hitting certain things. And then professionally, what do I stand for? Then I took it a step further. This is where the vulnerability comes in. I asked the Facebook gallery of the peanut world, I like to call it, or the peanut gallery of the Facebook world. That's probably better. Yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter. And I was like, hey guys, what are 3 words that you think describe me? And you'd be surprised what people have to say about you, because their perception of you is probably different than your own. And your spouse and your family's perception is probably different than your own. So my whole goal was to gather all of these words and have a visual so I could see what works. And then what I realized is that, like, even though I am who I am and I'm really like not cool, calm, and collected, a lot of people think that I just have this flow about me, and I'm just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Like, it is what it is, right? And it just worked. It worked for me. So marinate. And here's another rule of thumb is, once you come up with something, see if you can claim it on Google for a URL. So check GoDaddy or whatever you're going to use to host all of the social media accounts you want. So if that's Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, Threads, anyways, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, those are going to be your primary ones, LinkedIn. to make
And
sure you
do
have
a search for that hashtag.
Yes, and do the search for the hashtag because
Yes.
we have stories on that bad boy. Just because it means one thing in your one part of the world does not mean it means something else somewhere else. So
I think that was a post that was done in the creative group
yes.
that we had no idea and thought it was the coolest thing ever until.
Yeah, so we won't say what it is, but Remax India posted something for women empowerment and it was so cool. And we were like, oh, that's so neat. But none of us realized this was like 5 years ago. And none of us thought to like Google what it meant in the States. And then corporate was like, hey guys, we got to take all these posts down. And they literally messaged every single person that made the graphics because people started making fun graphics in the States. And we're like, oh, that means something not so well here. So
But
Google
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was
so
awesome.
cool.
It was
And
great.
twofold. So it could mean something bad, but if there's a lot of competition in that hashtag, you may not want to use it because the goal is to get everything to link back to your Google My Business page. So if you hashtag, or if you search hashtag Breeze to Keys, it's all my stuff. And that's the point. So you just got to get those wheels turning, and there's still a ton of things out there that you can claim and create and brand yourself. So
yeah, and I did for like the Jeep, I do the hashtag like 865 trails because we're trying to, for people to go riding with, and we have the website and store and, business cards and on my ducks or whatever for, to try to meet people and go off riding with. So we, it's like trying to find something. It's like 865 is our, there's a huge one for 865 life, and it's just the thing. It's our area code, and it means something, balls.
Yeah.
But so just trying to think creatively, think outside the box, maybe something, but always do a search in each social platform and on Google for what you're looking for. Make sure it's available. That's like the biggest thing now, especially when it comes to domains, because I wake up at 3:00 with like domain ideas. And if it's not, I probably will never use it, but I still buy them just because I'm like, but it's cool and it's available. I have to buy it.
Yeah. I won't tell you how many I own, but that's how Kenny got his. Kenny advertises his real estate brand as Good Real Estate Vibes. I literally opened up GoDaddy. I said, here are all the URLs I own. Pick one.
And yes, Renee, this is live. It's going to be, it's inside of the Facebook group. It's on YouTube. So it's available. We will be adding it into the guide section. We'll probably start a new guide versus all of the old ones that we have. So that way in the creative group, you go to guides, you're going to see all of our older ones that we did, and we're doing weekly. And these are monthly. So they'll be in there, but yes, it'll be in the thread and also in the guides. But so we're doing this every month. So next month is the second Thursday at noon Eastern. Next month is Canva, setting up templates. So I think each of us are going to open up our Canva, design little fun stuff, and give our kind of basic ideas and templates and, just some of the things that make it super easy for us to be able to easily create stuff on there. Then we have your creativity on the go. Some of the mobile apps.
All of the apps. I won't tell you guys how much I pay for apps. It's okay. Don't be like me. Well, you could be like me, but I just use them a lot. So that's why I pay for it.
Clinton, and he didn't give the string. So if you're commenting, watching live, there is StreamYard.
HR
and I was like, HR? What is he doing? So that's Clinton, our HR department.
He is our best guy. Hey, you guys, you know what? He's really great with business cards. So
mad marketing skills. He needs to post more. I only tease him that all the time.
He makes him and Carlos are hands down the best in the group. But
out of the box, even some ideas. I have to do some banners for football and stuff, but great stuff. So this is every month. And then the first Thursday and the Tech and Tools, our sister group for KB Core stuff, is going to be on all the new marketing, design center, core social, listing automation, all of that next month. But we have a lot of great stuff. I think we put our calendar in both groups, and all are live inside the group. And of course the videos live there, so you can watch them at any time that you want. And that was fantastic, Bree. So I can't wait. next week get to play with, or next month getting to play with Canva, and
Damn.
he will post photos or the slide deck or whatever, at least of, I know people wanted those, the brand with the colors, and then that positive, negative, make sure to post
Totally.
that in the thread.
I will post that in the group right now, because otherwise I'll forget and you guys will yell at me. So got you.
Yes, that ate squirrel brain. Absolutely. So you guys were awesome. Thank you. And we'll chat soon. Bye,
Bye, guys.
everyone.